Hi, it's Sean, the Fluency Awesomizer. This is Decoding Multi-Syllabic Words, episode 95. I've got 4 words I want to take a look at today and lots of information. Let's get started. I want you to read these words right out loud. You ready? What's this word? How about this word? The third word. And finally. All right, were any of those tricky to read? Did you need more time? Keep watching. We're going to review those words, show you some strategies you might want to recall next time you get stuck on words like those when you're reading independently. First, a reminder of the fable, The Tortoise and the Hare, and the moral, slow and steady wins the race, which is great advice when you do get stuck on an unfamiliar word like this one. Think of these words as races. There is a finish line, and if you read like the hare, you might want to get to that finish line first, and you'll zip through a big word like this. That's where mistakes can happen, but if you read like the tortoise, you take it slow and steady when you come to these words. That patience is definitely going to improve your ability to decode them. Keep it in mind. Let's practice. All right, this first word, I'm going to start in the middle because there's a very tricky vowel pair here, U-I. What does that do? Well, that's reminding me of the word fruit. Does it remind you of fruit? And the U-I in fruit makes an ooh sound. So is that intoot? Intoot? And there's, you know that one, right? You do you? Shun. There's ishin. Is that, wait, that's tuition. This is the word intuition. Intuition. That is an abstract noun, intuition. Origin of that is intuere in Latin, meaning to look at, or to consider, yes. Another Latin word, intuitionem, meaning a consideration. It's the origin of a UI vowel pair, Latin is, and it's also the origin of ition, that root ishin, intuitionem. And intuition, you can see it in Latin, that's where we get the English word intuition. And it still means the ability, well, it means today, one of the meanings is the ability to understand immediately. Yes, I get it, right. So your intuition, that's an abstract noun. That's why it's an abstract noun, because you can't hold it up and point at it and look at it. It's something you don't actually physically see. So this reminder of the Latin root ishin here, in English, we have it, but it's not pronounced the way it looks. We pronounce it ishun or ishin, I guess, depending on where you live, but it's spelled I-T-I-O-N. So keep that in mind. The next word, I'm going to start at the finish line. There's the tricky part, I think, in this word. There's shun, a good reminder to go to the finish line sometimes to find the tricky parts. There's tuition. Institution is this word. It's a noun. Comes from the root institute, which is a noun, or a verb. It can be a verb. Origin of that is Latin, instituere, meaning to put in place. Another Latin word, institutus. That's fun. Institutus, meaning something set up. And another Latin word, institutionem, meaning something established. Now, see, there's the root there, U-T-I-O-N. That's a Latin root we use in English. In fact, this part of that word became institution in English. And today it still means something established. Today we refer to it, things like college or a bank, something established, an institution. Reminder of this Latin root, ushun. Right? It's not spelled the way it's pronounced in English. We pronounce it ushun or ushin. You might be tempted to spell it that way, but remember it's U-T-I-O-N, ushin, institution. Third word I show you, pretty big word, starts with dis. There's the word sting. And what's this? There's that UI vowel pair again. Is that gooish? Actually, that G is making gwish. This is the word distinguished. It's a past tense verb. It's also an adjective. And the root word is distinguished. The origin of that is also Latin. Distinguere. Distinguere. There's a distinguere, to separate. Think of the 5 food groups. You separate food into groups, right? Distinguere, there's the origin of the GU combination, the letter pair. And it makes a gua sound. So something that you need to know. GU can sometimes make gua. So this part of that Latin word was the origin of the old French word distinguis, and you can tell distinguis, that's where we get distinguish in English. And a reminder, GU is making a GW sound, wish. You might be tempted to spell it that way. So distinguish today can mean to recognize as different. Remember the food groups? Well, the fruit group can be distinguished from the other groups. It's recognized as different. It's a different group. And speaking of distinguished, you just add an ED. And you have a word that means successful or dignified, as in, ladies and gentlemen, presenting from the 5 food groups, the very appealing banana. Banana is distinguished in this case. Now the ED, you don't hear it. It doesn't say distinguished. You don't hear the E in ED, distinguished. Actually, you don't hear D, you hear a T. It's one of the 3 rules about adding ED. Sometimes it makes a T sound, distinguished. You might be tempted to spell it with just a T at the end, but you have to remember there's a root word and an ED suffix added, distinguished. Last word I showed you, there's a similar syllable towards the finish line there. That is quish. That is a QU. Let's stop and talk about this Q for a second. It looks like a number 9 here, right? You might be more familiar with Q, having that little curly Q ending. But you need to know sometimes Q is printed without that curly Q. And when it is, it looks like a number 9. You might be confused, but you always remember the Q is followed by a U. So that's one way to help you figure it out. You have to know that the Q doesn't always have that curly Q. This word starts with rel, lin, or is that relin, relinquish? Yeah, this is the word relinquished. Past tense verb, root word is relinquish. Origin of that is relinquere in Latin, meaning leave behind or to give something up. And that part of the Latin word was the origin of the old French word relinquis. Relinquis, you can tell that ISS, that became the English word relinquish. And relinquish today still means to give up or release something, like your video game controller. You relinquish it if somebody else wants to have a turn, or maybe you get in trouble and you get it taken away. You have to relinquish it. Now you add an ED to get relinquished, and you don't pronounce the ED. You don't say relinquished. You don't hear the E. It's relinquished. Actually, again, you don't hear D. It's that tricky ED rule, T. It's one of 3 ED rules. You might think it's pronounced, or I'm sorry, spelled with just a T at the end, relinquished. You have to remember it's a root word and an ED ending, relinquished. All right, that's it for today. Subscribe to my YouTube channel or follow me on Facebook. Tell a friend, a family member, or a teacher about me too. Spread the good word. On my Facebook page, there's a photo album full of reading challenges I've written to help you continue practice decoding those big words and to awesomize your fluency. Hope you enjoyed the video and found it helpful. Come back and see me soon. Bye.